Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time of day it is when you hear this message, I pray that your mind, your heart, and your spirit are all poised to receive, to accept, and respond to words of wisdom. Ashe. Have you ever been in a relationship with somebody wherein when the two of you are together, and it's just the two of you, everything is cool. Conversation is nice, it's natural, it's free-flowing. But as soon as someone else steps into the frame, now this person who you've been really vibing with the whole time suddenly becomes a comedian. And they want you to be the butt of all their jokes. Or they become the moral police. And they want to use everything that you said to them in confidence as some kind of a one-upsmanship trick, right? They want to start telling all your business to the next person to make you look bad. Right? Or to make them look good, right? Either way, these are things that I would say these indicate a person who can't retain their vibe, to put it in simple terms. This is a person who can't retain their vibe. They don't know how to be authentic in different social circles. It's because they're fragmented, right? They're fragmented. There's either a fragmentation between the way they think, they feel, and they do, or there's fragmentation between different aspects of their personality or their character, right? So this person may be, on one hand, they might be a good Christian, but on the other hand, they might be promiscuous. And on the other hand, they might be a little greedy for money. And on the other hand, they might be, because they're greedy for money, they could be a little bit shady, right? They could do things that are kind of extra legal or downright illegal, okay? And so because they are all these different things, sometimes they all get along with one another, they complement one another nicely, and sometimes these different aspects of their personality are in diametric opposition to one another. They're in conflict with one another, and they create a lot of chaos within this person's mind. And so when different aspects of their personality show up, right, of their social circle, and they converge into one place, this person, because then their conflict is externalized, right? It's externalized, and you start seeing them do stuff like I described before. They become the moral police, or they become a joker, or they become something that looks really antisocial, right? Now, the way people like this oftentimes show up on the mat to consult Ifa is they show up with a hyper paranoia. Somebody's always out to get them. Somebody's always jealous of them. Somebody's always trying to take their stuff, right? Somebody's always trying to block them. They live in this world wherein there's always like the jungle, and there's predators everywhere, right? Now, sometimes, right, we do live in a kind of a dog-eat-dog world, and there's some cutthroat activity, and there are malevolent spiritual forces, and there are detractors, and there are enemies, and there are frenemies. Those are real things. I don't want to pretend that, you're making it all up in your head. But half of it is your imagination. You're making a good half of it up in your head. And let me say we are, because to some extent, all people demonstrate a level of fragmentation. It's a mark of growth and maturity to be able to integrate all the different dimensions of your personality and of your lifestyle into one, and just be yourself everywhere that you go. And you maintain your vibe. You are you everywhere you go, right? That's a process of maturity and transformation. So what I want to do today is I want to share with you a brief lesson on how to maintain your vibe, and in so doing, live a freer, more comfortable, and relaxed life. Okay? Now, this is the Orisha Lifestyle Academy, if you don't know, and I'm your instructor, Obafemi Origunwa. And the first thing that you need to do in order to maintain your vibe is just take inventory. Okay? And I'd say there's two levels of inventory that I'd suggest you start with. Level one of inventory is, like I was saying before, How many hats do you wear? Maybe you're a teacher. Maybe you're a parent. Maybe you're a business owner. Maybe you're a religious person, a priest or a devotee or something like that. All these are different hats that you wear. That's the first level of inventory that I want you to take, right? Don't go beyond that. Don't attach that with something else. In other words, because I am a business person, that means blah, 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 blah. Don't go into your story on that. Just, I'm a business person, right? I'm a hustler. Just leave it at that. That's level 1. Level 2 inventory is how you show up. What are some of the attributes of your personality? Maybe you're shady. Maybe you're naive. Maybe you're a little greedy. Maybe you're wishy-washy. Those are just examples. These are ways that you show up. These are kind of attributes of your personality type or of your character. Okay? But just as before, don't attach any judgment to those things. Just take stock. This is how I show up. And if you're unclear about either of those 2 first levels of assessment or taking inventory, ask somebody who knows you. Talk to someone who has spent time with you, someone who's known you over years, someone who's seen you in different situations, and just ask them, how many hats do you think I wear? What do you see me do? How do I show up? What are some of my most prominent attributes and personality type, right? And don't be defensive. Don't try to explain things away. Don't be trying to argue with the people. Just listen, write it down or record it or something like that. But what you want to do is, at the most basic level, just take inventory of what you do, what kind of hat you wear, and how you show up in the world. That's it. No judgment one way or the other. All right? It's tempting, but it's going to go a very long way if you can complete this exercise. All right? Once you've done that, you've got an idea of, how many hats you wear. You've got an idea of how you show up in the world. Next thing I want you to do is I want you to take inventory of the pros and cons of each. What are the pros and cons of being honest? What are the pros and cons of being a parent? What are the pros and cons of being a hustler? What are the pros and cons of being a religious person? What are the pros and cons of whatever it is that you do and however you show up? List the pros and the cons. And again, no judgment. Don't associate it with anything else. Don't go beyond that. Because this is a pro and this is a con, it means that I can never or I always have. Don't go into all that. Just assess it. Just document it. These are the pros. These are the cons. Okay? And once you've done that, okay, then what I want you to do is I want you to start asking yourself, when you look at this composite of attributes and characteristics and behaviors, I want you to ask yourself, what kind of person is all of this? What kind of person is all of this? And when I say what kind of person is all of this, I want you to think in terms of what they will call an avatar. What kind of an avatar is this? Okay? Maybe this person reminds you of a certain character in a movie, or a certain character in a book, or a certain character in a poem, okay? But try to create a singular image that encapsulates all of these different attributes, more or less, okay? And just accept that for that moment, that this is how I am choosing to be. Okay? This is how I have chosen to be. This is the way I have chosen to show up and be in the world. Doesn't mean it has to be that way forever, but except for right this moment, that's what you see. This is your avatar right now, really. All right? And this is going to help you eliminate the fragmentation and stop practicing self-deceit. Okay, stop practicing self-deceit, because what Ifa, one of the dimensions of Ifa, truly, because Oromila is the Eleri, being the witness of fate. Oromila is the one who was there when you made your prenatal choice. And Oromila documented all of these different things that you chose. All right. So part of what Ifa does when you consult Ifa, and part of the role of the Babalawo, is to help you just reconcile, what you're living with, what you chose, and be true to yourself. Accept how you really are. Right. I'm reminded of a verse of Ifa wherein Oromila got his akapo, his students. He pulled them all together and he says, I want you guys to go and find me somebody who's practicing self-deceit. I got an important lesson I need to teach you. Go find me someone who's practicing self-deceit. So they go out and they get a king. They bring the king back. Oromila interrogates the king. But after a few minutes of interrogation, turns out that no, the king is not practicing self-deceit. He is what he says he is. Then when they got a warrior, Oromila sits the warrior down. He interrogates him. No, this warrior is doing everything that he says he's doing. Finally, his students go and they bring him a woman who had given birth to twins. The twins died, and she had the Ibeji icons, right? Which is what the tradition says you should do. Oromila says, finally, you brought me someone who's practicing self-deceit. His Akapo said, what? What do you mean, Baba? He says, watch, I'm going to show you. So he starts asking the woman questions. He says, when you talk to your Ibeji, when you talk to these carvings, do they talk back? And she says, no, they don't talk back. He said, yes, is what I thought. He says, and when you give them something to drink, and you spray the drink onto them, and you put it down in a glass in front of them, do they drink it, or does it evaporate? She said, no, they don't drink it. It evaporates. Oromila said, yes, that's what I thought. He says, and when you give them food, you put the little food on their mouth, do they open their mouths and they eat it and they chew it? Or is it the cat that comes to eat it? It's the dog that comes to eat it. It's the ants that come to eat it. And she says, no, Baba, they don't open their mouth. They don't eat it. They don't chew it. It is the cat. It is the dog. It is the ants that come and eat it. Oromila says, yes, exactly. This is what I mean when I say someone is practicing self-deceit. He said, we don't understand, Baba. Please break it down. Oromila said, okay, I'll break it down. See, this woman is hurting for the lack of children. She wants children. And so what she was supposed to do was come and see me and consult Ifa and let me prescribe a sacrifice that would enable her to have more children. Her deepest desire is not to take care of these icons. Her deepest desire is to have little children running around her house. True or false? She said it's true. Baba, that is exactly what I want most desperately. There you go. So now, let's consult Ifa, and I'm going to tell you what to do. And so Oromila went about the process of casting Ifa, making the ebo, giving her medicine, and she went on to have a string of children. And so it is that Oromila, as the witness of fate, is helping us over and over again to eliminate the practice of self-deceit, helping us to live out the reality of our prenatal choice, right? Because deep inside, we know what we want. Our deepest desire is not to be fragmented. Our deepest desire is not to be divided within ourselves and then divided by extension in our different communities. So we don't want to have all of our interests spread out and have one social life over here and another social life over there and another social life. We really want to be integrated and whole. That's our deepest desire, right? Because that is what Ori did. That was when Ori, the head, wanted to become fully self-actualized. Ori made sacrifice to not be in isolation, because Ori was once by itself, but Ori made sacrifice to bring the eyes, to bring the ears, to bring the nose, to bring the mouth, to bring the body, to bring the arms, to bring the legs. Ori, the nature of Ori is a composite. It brings all these things together into one. That's our true nature, right? Enya, which is what we are as people, human being, is called Enya. Enya is Ori Emi, Okan, Ara. The head, the spirit, the breath, the heart, the body. All of them together is Anion, not just one. The heart isn't over here, and the body is over there, and the spirit is over there, and the destiny is over. It all goes together as one. That's our truest, deepest desire. So I know that by virtue of what Ifa teaches us about what it means to be a person, we want to be unified and whole. So I encourage you, carry out these exercises, do these activities so that you can start the process of becoming whole from the inside out, right? Because when you fail to do that, this is where you start running and saying, I want to become Shango. Oh, I want to become Ashun. I want to become Obatala. I want to become Orunmila. You can't. That's not your prenatal choice. Shango's prenatal choice was to be Shango. Obatala chose to be Obatala. That's already done. They can help you. They can support you in the process of reaching your highest vibration, but you're not going to become Ashun or Shango or Orunmila or Olokun or any other Orisha. You're going to become, at the very best, you are going to become deified by living the medicine that will heal your life and the lives of all of those who you're destined to serve. If you are the best, highest version of yourself, your whole integrated self, then the people around you and the people who come after you will elevate you to the status of deity. But you're not going to be able to ride Shango's coattails and pretend to be Ashun or imitate Obatala and become deified. It's not going to happen. Okay? So I'm inviting you to carry this out. Try it. Do those personal inventories that I described. Talk to people around you. Listen to their feedback. And create that avatar for yourself. Who are you really? What have you chosen to be? Accept that. And be the best version that you can possibly be. This is what it means to live the medicine that will heal your life and heal the lives of those who you are destined to serve. Aboru aboye, aboshishe.